Yeah, different. Today, we are going to discuss on that important target and goals of SDGs 14. That's on life below water. Because when we talk about inhabitant conservation, biological conservation, we have to look from different perspectives. Like last session, we talk on life on land. So today, if we look at the present status, growth and status, and that global efforts to conserve biological diversity in water, so as we know that we have SDG called 14 with an objective to conserve and sustainably use the world's ocean, seas, and marine resources. This SDG, this 14, it has 10 targets and with 10 indicators to look into the progress of the targets. So, if you look into those targets and indicators, for example, if we started from target number 1, the major aim of this target is to prevent, significantly reduce marine pollution of all kinds. Marine pollution is one of the important issues, global issues which are affecting each and every component of marine ecosystem, in particular from land-based activities, including marine debris and nutrient pollution. Whatever we are polluting in the land, at last it reaches to the ocean. Okay. So to look into that progress of the particularly target on this target 1 of goal number 14, there are 2 basic indicators proposed by United Nations SDGs committee. One is the index of coastal eutrophication, and the second one is floating plastic density. Because if you look into the marine pollution and even that river pollution, plastic has become one of the important sources, one of the important that waste that is affecting to the ecosystems, especially in the water ecosystem. So this is one of the that density of floating plastic debris is one of the important indicators of that. The target number 2, it talks about the basic target was by 2020, but we have already crossed 2020. Is to sustainably manage and protect marine and coastal ecosystem to avoid significant adverse impacts, including by strengthening their resilience and take action for restoration in order to achieve healthy and productive ocean. So it talks about strengthening resilience capacity of the ocean ecosystem, right? So, and that when you talk about the conservation and protection of the ecosystem, we need that cooperation between or among different countries, right? So to look into the progress of this particular target, to strengthening the resilience of particularly this ecosystem, marine ecosystem, their restoration, then that indicator is number of countries using ecosystem-based approach to managing marine areas. This is one of the indicator. If you look into, because when you talk about a marine ecosystem, especially ocean ecosystem, we need to understand that how many countries are effectively utilizing those particular proposed ecosystem-based approach in managing marine areas. Right? Then again, if you look into the target number 3, that is to minimize and address the impact of ocean acidification, which is one of the important issues, including through enhanced scientific cooperation at all levels. When we talk about ocean acidification, the air pollution, the water pollution, they have no boundary. So that we need to understand that from scientific point of view, and that has to be scientific cooperation among different countries, and in the countries also at different level we have to look. So to look into the progress of that particular target, the basic parameters, that indicator is average marine acidity. When you talk about this, minimize the ocean acidification, of course, obviously it does become marine acidity to measure at aggregate suite of representative sampling station. So you have to identify some of the sampling site at different across that ocean and to look into the change in acidity, means pH. Target number 4, it talks about effectively regulate harvesting and overfishing, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, and destructive fishing practices to implement science-based management plans in order to restore fish stocks in the shortest time feasible, at least to levels that can produce maximum sustainable yield as determined by their biological characteristics. Now, when we talk about fisheries, ocean fisheries, we know that fisheries of over-harvesting of fishing is happening across the ocean, not only in the freshwater ecosystem, it's happening in the ocean. And we also see illegal and unreported, unregulated fishing practices by using different destructive fishing methods. So that needs to be understood, and we have to understand the biological characteristic to identify that maximum sustainable yield. So to look into that, this important target number 4 of goal 14 of SDGs is proportion of fish stocks within biologically sustainable level. This is the indicators to look into the progress of this target. Then, target number 5, conserve at least 10% of coastal and marine areas, consistent with national and international law and based on the best available scientific information. So we need to regularly collect scientific information related to the conservation of ocean, health of the ocean, and that needs to have a collaboration between national and international organization under the umbrella national and international law. To look into this target, we need to find out how many coverage protected areas relation to each cover in that marine areas, right? So in the same way, we talk about in goal number 6, that is on prohibit certain form of fisheries subsidize, because sometimes to improve the livelihood of that fishing communities, the government subsidize some form of that practices for harvesting that harvesting the fish, so which contribute to overcapacity. Because of that subsidies given by the government, then that have a negative impact due to that overuse of that particular scheme. So, and overfishing happen. So we need to eliminate and subsidize that subsidies that contribute to illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, and we have to refrain from introducing new subsidies, recognizing that appropriate and effective special and differential treatment for developing least developed countries. It should be an integral part of the World Trade Organization fisheries subsidies negotiation. So, degree of implementation of international instrument aiming to combat that illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing is one of the indicators to look into the progress of this target to achieve. Then we have target number 7. By 2030, increase the economic benefits to small island developing states and least developed countries from the sustainable use of marine resources, including through sustainable management of fisheries, aquaculture, and tourism. When we talk about the sustainable livelihood improvement, especially in these least developed country in a small island, and the contribution of these fisheries, aquaculture, and in especially small island country, tourism play is important role. So we need to increase that economic benefit to those areas, and that has to be looked through sustainable management of those important sectors, that is fisheries, aquaculture, and tourism. So to look into that progress, we need to look into the sustainable fisheries as a proportion of GDP in small island developing state, least developed countries, and all countries. For every country, what is the contribution of sustainable fisheries to their national GDP? Then goal number 8, that is on increase scientific knowledge, develop research capacity, and transfer marine technology, because technology play an important role when we are talking about the sustainable practices. So taking into account the intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission criteria and guidelines of the transfer of marine technology in order to improve ocean health and to enhance the contribution of marine biodiversity to the development of developing countries, in particular that small island developing states and least developed countries. So transfer of technology is also important from that highly developed or developing countries to those states or countries who do not have that facilities have enough scientific knowledge, that is then do not have the technology that needs to be provided. And we need to enhance that science and development, that research and development practice in this line. So proportion of total research budget allocated to research in the field of marine technology is one of the indicators to look into this progress. Right? And then next is the target number 9. Provide access for small-scale artisanal fisheries to marine resources market. To look into this, degree of application of a legal or regulatory or policy or institutional framework which recognizes and protects access right for small-scale fisheries is the indicator. Then target number 10, that is on enhance the conservation and sustainable use of oceans and their resources by implementing international law as reflected in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which provides the legal framework for the conservation and sustainable use of oceans and their resources, that is recalled in that particular that paragraph 158 of the future we want. So to look into that, the indicator is number of countries making progress in rectifying, accepting, and implementing through legal that policy institutional frameworks, ocean-related instruments that implement international law as reflected in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea for the conservation and sustainable use of the oceans and their resources. Right? So if you look into the status of the target which we discussed based on the SDG 14, let us have a quick look into what is the present progress in what is global status towards achieving those targets and that achieving those progresses by using indicators. We know that these land-based pollutants and marine debris threaten coastal habitat. Still, the impact of all these particular sources is not able. We are not able to minimize those pollutants and debris. Key. And improvement of water is also unable to improve. Right. But if you look into these, that source of pollutants and marine debris that is returning to coastal habitat and for improving water quality, it can be achievable if we have the will to do at different level. And we know that across the world, nearly all countries they have their own way of tackling this situation issues and to improve their coastal water quality. And if you look into those countries, most of the countries who are working towards the direction of improving the water quality of marine, you will see based on the analysis of trends from 2012 to 2018, we have seen a positive change. And 104 of 220 coastal regions improved their coastal water quality over that period, that is from 2012 to 2018. To implement our such kind of improvements, such kind of that willingness or changes or that kind of policy. We need to require a policy commitment at the country level and to expand access of that wastewater treatment, because whatever the most of the marine pollution, whatever we're talking about, that sources of pollution and pollutant is because of the wastewater. So we need to have a wastewater treatment plant, and we need to reduce chemical and nutrients runoff from agricultural sources as we define as non-point source of pollution, along with global commitment to reduce plastic debris. It is also known that we know that increasing acidification is threatening marine life and hampering the ocean's roles in moderating climate change. And if we look into the uptake of atmospheric carbon dioxide by the ocean, that changes the chemical composition of seawater. This also altering its carbonate chemistry, resulting in a decrease of pH and a growing ocean acidification since in a very fast rates in the last few decades. So observation of ocean pH over the first 30 years have shown a decrease in surface pH of 0.1 units. This is equivalent to a 26% increase in acidity from pre-industrial times, which is quite alarming. At the current rate of carbon dioxide emission, then an increase in acidity of 100%, 150% by the end of this century is predicted, means by 2100. So ocean acidification that threatens organisms as well as ecosystem services, including when it threatens to the ecosystem services that directly affect to the food security, and that that endanger that aquatic ecosystem, especially ocean ecosystem, that is also on fisheries and aquaculture. So on the other hand, it's also impact on that coastal protection by weakening the coral reefs that seal the coastline, and transportation and tourism also. So as the acidity of the ocean rises, its capacity to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere decreases, hampering the ocean role in moderating climate change. This is how this acidification has a negative impact. What is the impact consequences of increasing pH, that increasing acidification in the ocean? So if you look here in this figure, you will see the atmospheric and carbon dioxide concentration in seawater pH in the North Pacific 1958 to 2017, right? Part per million ppm, that is it's in ppm, and a micro atmosphere that is, and the pH here you will see it is now the way you have seen here 1958, and that carbon dioxide was 300 only, 300 ppm only, ppm only. Now 2017 it crosses more than 400. The same way you will find out that seawater carbon dioxide and that per atmospheric micro atmosphere, that you will find out here also it is fluctuating, but the fluctuation is increasing. But in the same time, seawater pH is decreasing, right? From 8.03, it was 1987, it was around 8.13. Now it is below 8.08, means it is about between 8.08 to 8.03, right? Again, here you will see in this figure calculated ocean surface pH value, minimum, average, and maximum for the period 1st January to 2010 to 8 January 2010 from the global measurement. You will see here minimum pH here, and that average pH here, maximum pH here, right? And the pH is scale in the x-axis. So this is the exact figure of that average figure of pH. Then if you look into the extent of marine protected area, it has doubled since 2010, but we need to more efforts to safeguard those key biodiversity areas in the ocean. You will see here in the least developed countries, now we are improving these key biodiversity areas. The protected areas of key biodiversity areas is increasing from 2002 to 2018. That least developed country, it is around 10 or so, but in 2010 it is 22.4. Now then in 2018 it is 26.0. So in the same way, world average we will see we have reached 45.7 in 2018, right? That percentage area of each important site of that key biodiversity area, right? Then again, here in this figure, you will see the mean percentage of each marine key biodiversity areas covered by protected areas by geographic region, 2010, 2015, and 2019. You will see the difference. So worldwide, we will see in 2010 we have that percentage of its marine key biodiversity area is around 40. Now there's increase in 2019. Shows that we are improving in this direction. Improving, the situation is improved as compared to 2010, right? In the same way, if we look into the fish stock, that decline in fish stock have been stabilized, but the need is to build, especially in severely depleted regions, because if you look in the global average, it is stabilized. But if you look into regionally, in some area it is severely depleted. So worldwide, if you look into the figure, the proportion of marine fish stock that are within biologically sustainable level that is declined from 90% in 1974 to 67% in 2015. However, this decreasing trend appears to have stabilized since 2008. As I told you, this is an encouraging sign, but if you look into the reason why, there may be some places where depletion rate is very high, so we need to work out in those regions to improve the situation. On the other hand, we know that illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing was one of the threats to marine biodiversity. So each state needs to take important steps to combat this illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. So the first, if in this direction, you will find that the first international binding agreement that developed expressly to combat this IW means illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. The agreement on port state measures that enters into force in 2016, and as of 2019, 59 states and one member organization, that is the European Union, representing 20 member states, were parties to it. So what we can say that is worldwide implementation of the agreement, supported by effective monitoring, control, and surveillance, and supplemented by market access and trade measures, will boost international effort to curb this illegal unreported and regulated fishing. So global effort is going on, and we are, at least on the other state, we are supporting each other. Again, in India, let's have a quick look into what approaches we are following and to achieve those targets, and what are the achievements so far we made to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 14. In terms of containing marine pollution, one of the approaches to achieve sustainable this SDGs 14, that is life on water, is containing marine pollution. And India is a signatory to International Convention on Prevention of Marine Pollution, that's called MARPOL. That is MARPOL. So if you look into that, levels of marine pollution, we are continuously monitor at various locations along our country's coastline through our program, Coastal Ocean Monitoring Protection System. And then another approach is the prevention of marine pollution. It is also clearly, this particular that prevention of marine pollution is also, we'll find out this is dealt with by Merchant Shipping Rules 2009, that was framed under the Merchant Shipping Act 1958. Then we have the online oil spill advisory system. This is an online mechanism for predicting the movement of oil spills, and it was launched in 2015. So beside all these things, we have the revised National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan 2014 that reflects the necessary national regulation as well as current international norms and is implemented to combat oil pollution in various maritime zones. This is our approach in containing marine pollution, and we are going very well in this direction. In terms of conservation of marine and coastal ecosystem, we have marine protected areas. This approach, we are using these as an units for protection of marine and coastal natural resources and biodiversity conservation, as well as the well-being of people that is dependent on their on them for their livelihood. So as of now, we have 25 marine protected areas in the peninsular region and 106 in the island, collectively spanning about 10,000 square kilometers. Moreover, in addition to this, we have several steps have been taken to conserve substantial portion of the coastal and marine areas. That we have national biodiversity target, different national biodiversity target, and we have to achieve IG biodiversity target number 11 in the country. So we have taken several steps has been taken to conserve a marine and coastal ecosystem. Specifically to achieve those national biodiversity target number 6 and IG biodiversity target number 11, we have 106 coastal and marine sites have been prioritized and managed as important coastal and marine areas. When you talk about the protection of this marine and coastal ecosystem, we cannot neglect the mangrove ecosystem and coral reefs. So we need to conserve mangrove and coral reefs. So if you look into that direction, we have an approach of a mangrove for the future. It's a unique partner-led initiative to promote investment in coastal ecosystem conservation for sustainable development, and this is co-chaired by IUCN UNDP. And this mangrove for the future, it provides a platform for collaboration among the many different agencies, sectors, and countries which are addressing challenges to coastal ecosystem livelihood issues. Again, in case of coral reefs in India, it is estimated that an area of 2,375 square kilometers across 4 major centers, especially one is in Gulf of Kutch, and the Gulf of Mannar, Lakshadweep Island, and Andaman Nicobar Island. So the protection of coral reefs that is already under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Again, the protection of coral reefs is also you will see legally they are in Environmental Protection Act 1986, and we have Coastal Regulation Zone that looks into the issues related to the destruction of coral reefs. That is, this also undertaken under different approach, like we have integrated coastal and marine area management system. We have INCOIS that is operationalizing the coral bleaching alert system since 2011. The point is that to protect this coral, we have different legal mechanism and different approaches, management approach. Then when we talk about fishing, so we need to we know that we need to implement sustainable marine fishing. And if you look into country's figure status, out of the known 2,443 marine fish species from India, 50 species are threatened. That's quite alarming. 6 of them critically endangered, 7 endangered, 37 vulnerable, and well 45 are near threatened. It's quite alarming. So this marine diversity, fish diversity, this shows that this marine fish diversity is now ever increasing danger, and it's also depleting. Resources also depleting. So we need to stop exploitation of marine fishing. Otherwise, it may have extinction may also happen in some of the marine fish species. Based on an assessment in 2016, it is recorded that a total of 709 species as compared to 730 species recorded in 2015. So for sustainable fishing, India have taken several measures with an emphasis on livelihood creation as well as resource conservation, because when you talk about that limiting the fisheries or fishing, we need to look into the alternative livelihood option. So livelihood creation is one of the option. So we have established a potential fishing zone advisory program that modernized and upgradation of fishing, banning of mechanized fishing in certain areas under that conservation program. And we have the integration of National Fisheries Action Plan that connects 15 million beneficiaries for livelihood opportunities through various interventions. And we are also looking, regulation and the participation method of participatory approach is also followed to implement the regulation of different acts and different approaches. So in 2017, the National Marine Fishery Policy was notified for the first time that highlighted the challenges of overfishing and climate change with greater emphasis on monitoring and control of coastal fishing. Further, if you look into status in 2019, the government created the first Ministries of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry and Dairy, which is directly looking into this particular sectors. So this is a one of the important approaches. So another approach is we're continuously monitoring coastal water quality and to identify to look into the coastal water quality index. So this coastal water index is a useful measure to assess the quality of the coastal water and design a suitable pollution prevention program. Coastal water quality index value is in India, it is about in the range of 81 to 100. It's considered very good, but unfortunately we are not able to achieve in this direction. But we have West Bengal have 65, Goa has 61.6. That is under category of good. It's not in very good category. The other 6 remaining states, they are in moderate, and there is a chance to improve it. And if you look into the mangrove coverage, as of 2017, mangrove spread of the country stands 4,921 square kilometer, and there has been a net increase of 181 square kilometer in the mangrove cover as compared to 2015 assessment, which is roughly about 3.82%, increase of 3.82%. So area-wise, if you look into that, mangrove cover in Maharashtra increased by 82 square kilometer, Andhra Pradesh by 27 square kilometers. In terms of percentage, Karnataka that increased about 100%. So it is very increasing to see that progress in this direction of improving. Then if you look in the source on pH level, pH value of that in general, the most significant deviation from this value is observed in Kerala, where pH value is 7.88, which is followed by 7.93. And the coastal water in Tamil Nadu has an average pH value of 8.17. We have to work hard. Then if you look into aquacultural potential, and which is one of the target of this goal number 14, that aims to increase the economic benefit from the sustainable use of marine resources, including through sustainable management of fisheries, aquaculture and tourism. It is estimated the estimated area of brackish water available for aquaculture in the country is 1.19 million hectares, as against which only 11% area has been developed for shrimp farming. So we have to work properly to maximum utilization of the available that area. So at 29% in this direction, Karnataka leads the state in aquaculture development, followed by Goa with 18,500 hectares of brackish water. And then in terms of potential, West Bengal have highest potential of more than 4 lakh hectares of brackish water, followed by Gujarat, that's about 3.76 lakh hectares. So Karnataka is they have 8,000 hectares. So we need to improve, and this government has to look into maximum utilization of this. If you look here, the overall summary of this is here. You will find out that in every component we are improving, and that coastal water quality is also under good category of good, and area under mangroves also increasing 3.82% increase, and then potential of develop under that available potential area developed under coastal aquaculture is also about 11%. So in this way we are improving a lot. So the point today's session what we have discussed is on targets and indicators of SDG goal number 14, that's on life on water, especially on aquatic this marine ecosystem, and we have looked into the global that's progress, and we have also looked into the approach and achievement of our country, and these are some of the references which I depend for preparing this presentation, and I also encourage you to look into this presentation. Thank you very much.